court heard Smith & Wesson brands versus Estados Unidos Mexicanos. Whiskey down south, sleep to the top.
I guess people are suffering from not getting enough sleep, and I was one of those people, and I figured out a really simple solution. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to get into the episode and then give you the secret later. I wake up really early and go for a walk, and it works like a freaking charm, and I think
3 books: Columbine by Dave Cullen, Dead in the Water by Matthew Campbell and Kit Chalel, and Fuzz by Mary Roach.
So I've organized my website, howdystranger.net, into 3 sections: listen, watch, and read.
Up to the top, up to the top.
Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones, by James Clear. And these atomic habits are tiny, right? Obviously atomic, but having everything to do with the identity of the person. So 1% change is not noticeable, but over time it's meaningful because it's compounded. So for example, an ice cube in a cold room, 25 degrees, finally melts at 32. Cancer spends 80% of its life undetectable, then bam, it hits you. So it's the compounding nature of these incremental changes that make differences. And so both positive and negative habits compound. Stress compounds, negative thoughts compound, productivity compounds, knowledge compounds, relationships compound. If you're 1% worse every day for 1 year, it's a 0.03 improvement. 1% better every day for 1 year is a 37.78 improvement. So noticeably different if you improve your good habits by 1%. Ability to concentrate on the process rather than the goal, because if you aspire to the goal, then what do you do after you've achieved the goal? An example is I'm not a morning person, or I am a morning person and therefore I get up at this time and I do X, Y, and Z. So identity is concentrating on what would a healthy person do rather than the outcome of 10 push-ups. So there are 4 laws of behavior change: cue, craving, response, and reward. 4 laws of behavior change. So cue, this is time and location. You want to make it obvious. And for bad habits, you want to make it invisible. So I charge my phone in the living room, not the bedroom, for example, and I'm removing temptations, creating friction. And you drain your motivation when you have temptations everywhere. So reducing those temptations as much as possible. Japan point and call system, they use in public transportation. And so they'll point and say things out loud. So all clear, signal is green. Using eyes, hands, mouth, ears seems pretty obvious. But they're reinforcing when situation X arises, I will perform response Y. So for example, when I pour my coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. And this is called the choice architecture. So you're making your environment conducive to good habits. For example, I moved the coffee table so it'd be easier to do push-ups from where I sit. Reducing that distance. It sounds all neurotic, really. I put limes on the counter with the juice squeezer, with the knife, removing barriers. You know, I would say I'm gonna drink another glass of lime water, and now I just make it as easy as possible, kind of priming your environment for future actions. Craving. This is the next law in behavior change. You want to make craving attractive. We think of, craving food, and food science has mastered, for example, how food feels in your mouth, orosensation. They found that mice deprived of dopamine lost the will to live and died of thirst. This was a 1954 experiment by James Olds. The anticipation of reward is just as profound as the receiving of it. This is wanting versus liking. The nucleus accumbens, this is the hedonic hotspot, and the expectation of the reward is so powerful. Head of ABC scheduling had this idea to correlate the Thursday 8 p.m. TV slot with wine and relaxation, using reward associated with the cue. You watch the show, you relax, and you make it a habit. They did this study where these children in Hungary were raised, immersed in chess, and they became prodigies because of their customs and practices within the peer group. In the book, they say, imitate the close, the powerful, and the tribe, or the many. And so this incubating of habits with the close, family and friends, you just do something over and over, and you see this a lot with like Tiger Woods. His dad just making him play from a very young age. So imitating family and friends, imitating status and prestige, imitating the tribe, it's all cultural reinforcement. They did the study with the University of Florida in a photography class. There were two groups. One was tasked with taking one great photo, submitting it. Another was tasked with taking 100 photos. And the quantity group won. And there's a saying, the best is the enemy of good. This is action versus motion. So just making it more likely that through action of 100 photos, you'll get one good photo rather than concentrating on making one good photo. It's that momentum, I guess. And Hebe's law, this is repetition improves neural connections. Neurons that fire together wire together. The phrase automaticity. How much time to create a good habit? Not necessarily about the time, but the number of repetitions, frequency. Jared Diamond gets mentioned in his book, Guns, Germs, and Steel. And this is the law of least effort. But basically agriculture spread east-west in Eurasia and not America, or it spread quicker just because the growing seasons and the agriculture techniques were similar along the same latitude. If you increase the friction for bad habits, we talked about this, the decisive moments are what matters. And for example, going to the gym, it's the cab ride to the gym or the initiation of going to the gym. So if you start a new habit, it shouldn't last more than 2 minutes, but getting there is the impetus. And so when you're there, you're like, oh, I might as well just stay longer. A commitment device is something to automate good habits, and you can use technology, make the bad habits painful. So prepay the gym, cut off the internet at 10 p.m. Reward, make it satisfying. In Karachi, Pakistan, they found it was 60% poverty, malnourishment, unsanitary conditions. People didn't use soap. And so P&G comes in with this Safeguard soap, and it was perceived as premium, foaming, smelled good. And so it was the reward being satisfying, Diarrhea fell 52%. Hand washing was satisfying. What is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. So you can do this with habit tracking. You'll see this in apps. There's streaks that are engaging, trying to create a habit or kind of a social contract, accountability partner. So if there's a late fee, obviously you'll pay on time. If there's a seatbelt law, you'll wear your seatbelt. If there's a law against smoking, you'll not smoke inside. And towards the end of the book, talk about finding games where odds are in your favor. And they compare Phelps as a swimmer and this Moroccan runner. The Moroccan runner tries to become the swimmer, doesn't work because Phelps is he's got a longer body or longer torso. The Yerkes-Dodson law. This is the kind of the Goldilocks rule, the optimal arousal between boredom and anxiety. So I guess Steve Martin did this, and it's the ongoing threat of boredom that successful people can handle. Pat Riley had this career best effort score, CBE, and it was based on improving output 1% over the course of the season. So just measuring your best effort constantly.
Whiskey down south, up to the top, up to the top, up to the top. Whiskey down south, up to the top, up to the top.